This week, we published the inaugural New Statesman Left Power List, our guide to the 50 most influential people in progressive politics. The individuals were selected and ranked by a panel of NS staff and contributors and were not told in advance of the project. So why a Left Power List, and why now? We conceived of this project at the end of the last year in the belief that the prospects of a Labour government would be one of the defining themes of 2023, and so it has proved. The local election results, which saw the Conservatives lose over 1,000 seats, mean that Keir Starmer is now the overwhelming favourite to become the next Prime Minister. So what are the broad trends that emerge from our list? In a reflection of Labour's current strength, the top 3 places are occupied by members of the party, and 21 of those on the list are serving Labour politicians or aides. After the largest wave of strike action since 1989, we also include 4 trade union general secretaries in the top 20. Finally, our list testifies to the growing influence of broadcast media and social media over traditional newspaper columns. In this video, I'm going to profile 3 individuals who, for different reasons, stand out on the list. The first is Rachel Reeves, our choice for the number 1 slot, with Keir Starmer just below her in number 2. There was a time when Reeves's moment appeared to have passed. After Starmer became Labour leader in 2020, Reeves, 44, was not appointed to the job with which she had been linked since entering Parliament a decade before, Shadow Chancellor. The former Bank of England economist instead assumed the more marginal roles of Shadow Cabinet Office Minister and Shadow Chancellor for the Duchy of Lancaster. Yet Reeves turned an apparent setback into an opportunity. In her new post shadowing Michael Gove, she excoriated the government for its wasteful and cronyistic COVID-19 contracts and called for an end to the cult of outsourcing. Reeves also became one of Starmer's most trusted political confidants. When the Labour leader reshuffled his shadow cabinet in May 2021, the Leeds West MP was duly rewarded with the post of Shadow Chancellor. And though Starmer is senior in rank, we believe it is Rachel Reeves who is the most influential person on the British left today.
We are facing a national emergency. Energy prices up. The cost of the weekly food shop up. People's wages not keeping up.
The economy and the living standards crisis are the defining political issues of our time. On these questions, Starmer, who lacks an economics background, defers to Reeves. Her greater political experience, she was elected 5 years earlier than Starmer and has deep trade union links, gives her further stature. Our panel also cited Reeves' pivotal role in 2 of Labour's defining missions: winning the confidence of business and achieving fiscal credibility.
I believe that the task of building a fairer society is a moral responsibility. And more than that, it is the route to a stronger economy.
The Shadow Chancellor has met 400 chairmen and chief executives, many of them disillusioned with the Conservatives, and has the final say on which spending proposals become Labour policy. Reeves' relentless emphasis on fiscal discipline has led some Labour MPs to accuse her of a lack of radicalism. Her pledge, however, to spend £28 billion a year on green investments, a larger annual figure than that promised by Jeremy Corbyn and John McDonnell, shows a vision beyond hair-shirt economics.
Ed Miliband has just set out how the next Labour government will cut energy bills for good by generating all of our electricity from clean sources by 2030. But our Green Prosperity Plan is about something else too. It is about economic growth. Because British businesses are falling behind in the global race for new industries. And that matters.
The former British girls chess champion has the political hunger of someone with a point to prove. In a joint New Statesman interview with her sister Ellie, a fellow Labour MP and a Shadow Justice Minister, Reeves said, "What I feel very strongly is that because we were constantly underestimated, we need to prove that 2 girls from State School in South London are just as good as any Eton or Winchester boy. As Labour prepares for government, no one today shall underestimate the influence of Rachel Reeves."
Anderson is there, Lineker's there again! 2-1 to England, and they can't contain him.
The second choice I'm going to talk about is Gary Lineker. The 62-year-old Match of the Day host was once best known as a former England striker and amiable broadcaster who would occasionally run into trouble for posting politically charged tweets to his 8 million followers. Now, to many of his supporters, he has become a free speech martyr and a rare voice supporting the cause of asylum seekers and refugees.
I was kind of lambasted a little bit for speaking out on this, saying you shouldn't involve yourself in politics, but for me it's a humanitarian issue, not a politics thing. I just think it's important, and I think it's important for this country to show that we have empathy, that we are decent people.
In March 2023, the BBC suspended Lineker from presenting Match of the Day, following pressure from the right-wing press, only to reinstate him days later after a de facto strike by Lineker's colleagues and other BBC staff halted live sports coverage. The debacle hastened the departure of Conservative supporter Richard Sharp as BBC chairman and forced Rishi Sunak to defend the government's unpopular asylum policy. In a diary for the New Statesman, Lineker's agent, John Holmes, subsequently revealed that the presenter believed he had a special agreement in place with Tim Davie, the BBC's Director General, that allowed him to tweet about refugees and immigration, an area that he said was of passionate interest for the former England footballer. But in the Battle of Wills, it was Lineker who ultimately prevailed. And just in case his position wasn't clear enough, Lineker set himself a new Twitter profile picture with a clear message for BBC executives. The photo shows Lineker alongside a quote displayed next to George Orwell's statue outside Broadcasting House. The Orwell quote: "If liberty means anything at all, it means the right to tell people what they do not want to hear." The other reason we rank Lineker so high in this list is his status as a mini media mogul. He co-owns Goalhanger Podcasts, which produces The Rest is Politics, a regular chart topper hosted by Alistair Campbell, who features at number 40 on our list, and former Conservative MP Rory Stewart. As we approach the general election, expect plenty more interventions from Lineker. Finally, I want to talk about the Labour MP Zara Sultana, who features at number 47 on our list. Sultana, the 29-year-old chair of the Socialist Campaign Group of Labour MPs, is that rare thing, a genuinely viral politician. On TikTok, she has 438,000 followers, the highest of any MP. On Instagram, she has 273,000, the third highest. And on Twitter, she has 324,000, the highest of any post-2015 MP. Sultana, who was elected in Coventry South in 2019, has captured the political imagination of an alienated generation.
In 2010, like thousands of other young people, I argued against the tripling of tuition fees. But the government ignored us, and now I currently have around £50,000 of student debt. Here is my latest student loan statement. As it says, in the last year alone, the interest added was £2,022.65. So I asked the Secretary of State, can he look me in the eye and tell me that it is fair that working class kids who want an education are forced to take on this colossal debt while his government is led by a man who went from the playing fields of Eton to a free education at Oxford.
In common with much of what the sociologist Keir Milburn calls Generation Left, Sultana was politicised by the Iraq War and the austerity unleashed by the Conservative Liberal Democrat coalition government. I was studying for my A-levels, watching politicians triple university tuition fees and cut the education maintenance allowance despite mass protests, and feeling like nothing is going to change, she told me in an interview last year. Sultana is part of a crop of young socialist women of colour, Nadia Whittam, Bel Rabiro Adi, Apsana Begum, who have been likened to the US squad of congressional radicals in the Democratic Party. But whether Sultana can translate her online fame into policy influence in Keir Starmer's Labour is the challenge confronting her and the wider left as the party nears government. I hope you enjoy reading the power list. Do let us know who you would have picked and where they should be. We'll be repeating the exercise next year, so they'll get a chance to appear. And thanks for watching today. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel, where we feature videos on the key issues defining British politics every week.